Early voting. It is now here. We get a chance to make our voice heard, and we also get a chance to mail in our ballots. But election officials are saying, whoa, 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 there might be possible delays, and that ballot of yours that you mail in could be invalidated. Hmm? We'll touch on that and more. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You are listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network, and it starts right now.
Come true.
Well, good morning, Shifter. I hope your weekend was wonderful, and I hope your Monday has started off beautiful. Welcome to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am, doggone it, the name just escapes me every time I get to this point. Oh, yes, Cole Johnson. It's on the name of the title of the show. How could I forget? Well, along with talking about sticky issues that election officials are saying about mail-in ballots, which it could possibly invalidate your vote. We're also going to touch on Donald Trump. The former president walks back to the site of his assassination attempt 3 months ago, and he actually does a campaign rally there again. We'll touch on how he felt and what the feeling was with the people, and of course, the race, which is now 29 days left and counting. See how that's going. And in Lighting the Way, we'll touch on how important voting is, yes, to the Christian diaspora. Voting is very important. Very. That is all for later. But for now, let's start you up. And here's what's taking place in the world today. Milton grew more powerful and gained hurricane status yesterday as it rolled through the Gulf of Mexico on a track that unfortunately imperils the areas of the Florida Peninsula. It is still recovering from the devastation of Hurricane Helene, which had touched on the bending edge of the Panhandle. Milton's sustained winds reached 80 miles per hour, quote, with steady and rapid strengthening, close quote, forecast over the next few days, said the National Hurricane Center. The storm could become a major hurricane before possibly reaching the coastline sometime on Wednesday. Now, for those who don't understand hurricane vernacular, a major hurricane means that it at least reaches Category 3 status, or winds that are between 111 to 129 miles an hour, and it could cause devastating damage. And that's according to the NHC. Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, said on Sunday that he expanded the state of emergency to 16 more counties, meaning now it's 51 of the 67 counties which are part of the state of emergency directive. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Sunday refused to say that former President Donald Trump lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. During a heated dispute and interview with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos, Johnson also declined to criticize comments from Donald Trump and Eric Trump, implying Democrats helped fuel the assassination attempt against the former president back in July. The Republican nominee held another rally over the weekend, and we'll touch on that in the next segment. Vice President Kamala Harris, during a visit to North Carolina on Saturday, met with local officials to receive an update on Hurricane Helene's recovery efforts. And she spoke with several families impacted by the catastrophic storm, and she also helped at a donation center. Now, the vice president provided updates on a major disaster declaration that unlocked more funds for affected individuals in the eastern band of the Cherokee Indians and 27 counties throughout the state during a briefing with officials, including Asheville Mayor Esther Mannheimer and Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles. Warner Brothers didn't have much to smile about this weekend as the highly anticipated Joker's sequel underwhelms at the box office. Amid weak reviews from both critics and audiences, Joker Folie à Deux didn't come close to matching the success of its predecessor in its opening weekend. The film took in $40 million at the domestic box office, according to studio estimates on Sunday. That's down from the $96.2 million from the original movie, which that's what it grossed in its 2019 debut. Folie à Deux has already proven divisive among audiences, which may make it difficult for the film to recover from its soft opening in the coming weeks. Al Pacino is opening up about a scary near-death experience. The Oscar-winning actor revealed on the New York Times The Interview podcast, that he became seriously ill while battling COVID-19 4 years ago. The actor recalled feeling, quote, unusually not good, close quote, and suffering from a fever and dehydration before losing consciousness. The actor said, quote, I was sitting there in my house, and I was gone, like that. Absolutely gone. So then they looked at my pulse, and I didn't have a pulse. It probably was very, very low, and they got panicked right away. Close quote. Well, Mr. Pacino, we're glad that you are alive. We're glad that you recovered from that, and now you get to act in more stellar performances before it is your time. But hopefully your time isn't soon. The Food and Drug Administration in late September upgraded a previous egg recall alert to warn customers of serious reactions and possibly death if consumed. The recall was originally announced at September 6th by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and was upgraded September 30th to Class 1, a product that, quote, will cause serious adverse health consequences or death, close quote. The original recall notification stated 65 people in the United States were affected with salmonella, linked to eggs supplied by Milo's Poultry Farm, LLC, from May 23rd to August 10th of this year. No deaths were reported, but 24 people were hospitalized, according to the CDC. Milo's Poultry Farms is in Bondure, Wisconsin. That's about 29 miles or so north of Green Bay. The colon plays an immensely important role in the digestive system. It extracts water, nutrients, and electrolytes from partially digested food, according to the National Cancer Institute. Think of the colon as a, quote, built-in bioreactor in your gut, close quote, says Dr. Chris Deman, MD and MA a gastroenterologist and clinical associate professor at the gastroenterology and medicine at the University of Washington Medical School. He went on to say, quote, it's manufacturing the leftovers in your food, things like fiber and plant polyphenols, close quote. Ultimately, this process supports metabolism, immunity, and even neurocognition, he says. Now, is colon cleansing a good thing, which that seems to be something that's becoming really popular? Many experts say it's not, or it seems to not. Interesting. The following sports update is brought to you by the Playmakers Blog Network. All right, let's go to the NBA. And the Portland Trailblazers and Shaedon Sharpe, well, Shaedon Sharpe suffered a small posterior labral tear in his left shoulder, and he's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks of action. The Blazers, they will open up their season in about 2 weeks, October 23rd to be exact, and they will be playing the Golden State Warriors. Oh, and you have LeBron and Bronny James. They made history. Yesterday, they became the first ever father-son duo to play together on an NBA court as the Lakers lost to the Suns 118-114 in preseason action. It's preseason. I'm sorry. LeBron had this to say about the moment. Quote, for a father, it means everything. For someone who didn't have that growing up, to be able to have influence on your kids, to have influence on your son, be able to have moments with your son, and ultimately to be able to work with your son. I think that's one of the greatest things that a father can ever hope for or wish for. Close quote. And the moment that official does not matter is brought to you by the letter. They'll do this again at some point later on in this year. To the ice. And Stanley Cup champs, Florida Panthers, they unfortunately have to cancel their plans for their Stanley Cup ring ceremony at a public event, which would be tonight. The move was made in light, of course, of Hurricane Milton bearing down on almost the whole state. And the Panthers open up the season tomorrow night against the Boston Bruins. That is still going on as planned as of right now. All right, to the diamond. The Los Angeles Dodgers star, Freddie Freeman, he exited Game 2 of the NLDS with discomfort in his sprained right ankle. Manager Dave Roberts spoke about Freeman's injury, saying, quote, we had no other choice. He's doing everything he can. I don't know what his status will be like for Game 3, but for tonight, we had no other option. Close quote. We'll have the updates of the games that took place momentarily. To the NFL, the kicker of the 49ers, Jake Moody, he suffered a high ankle sprain while attempting to make a tackle on a kick return versus the Cardinals. We'll touch on what happened there later. And tonight, Week 5 of the NFL football action concludes with only one game this time. The last 2 Monday nights, we've had 2 games. It's only one. Arrowhead Stadium is the site. The Saints and the defending 2-time champs Chiefs are the teams. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. All times are Eastern on ESPN. All right, so for the WNBA, the semifinals are halfway over, and the finals are halfway set, as the Aces, the 2-time defending champs, have to bow out. Yes, the Brooklyn, New York Liberty, they beat the defending champs 76-62. They win the series in Vegas 3-1, and now they await the winner of the Lynx and the Sun. The Sun, battling back from a 2-1 series deficit, they beat the Lynx by double digits. Now the series is tied at 2. They go back to Minnesota, where in the Twin Cities, it is a winner-take-all Game 5, and the winner of that game will travel to New York to start the WNBA Finals against the Liberty. On the diamond, the NLDS was on display. An exciting ninth-inning walk-off single made the Phillies 7-6 winners over the Mets. That series is tied at 1, and now they travel about 100 miles northeast to play at Citi Field in Queens. Meanwhile, down west, over in the southern western part of the coasts, Southern California, I should say, the Dodgers, they did their thing in Game 1, but then they got shellacked in Game 2. The Padres knotted the series at 1, and now they take their journey 128 miles south from L.A. to San Diego for Game 3. Now, that is the NLDS. How about the ALDS? Well, both games will be played Game 2 tonight. The Guardians, they will be hosting the Guardians, they'll be hosting the Tigers. First pitch is at 4:08 p.m. The Yankees, they'll be hosting the Royals. First pitch will be at 7:38 p.m. Both games will be on TBS, True TV, and HBO Max. The home teams, which would be the Guardians and the Yankees respectively, are up 1-0. Saturday action on the gridiron. We saw Texas A&M rout Mizzou 41-10. We saw SMU with a slight upset, and you might notice a theme here. With a slight upset of Louisville, 22nd ranked. They'll probably be out of the rankings now, 34-27. The U, or Miami, came back from a 35-10 deficit to beat their new ACC rival, and I put that in quotes, California, 39-38, out in Berkeley. The number 4 ranked Tennessee Volunteers, they went down to Fayetteville and then went down against them, 19-14. Washington, at home, they took down number 10 seed Michigan, 27-17. And then I just mentioned a few upsets. How about this one? The biggest of them all. Vanderbilt beat down number 1 Crimson Tide, 40-35. And the Tide fan had the nerve to say, we got cheated. Yes, you did. Your boys cheated themselves out of their own effort. My bad. All right, to the NFL and the action on Sunday. In London, we saw the Vikings go to 5-0 with a 23-17 victory over the Jets. Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers. 60,000 yards he surpassed, but he took and with it. Probably the most exciting game of the weekend, both in college and pro. The Ravens outlasted the Bengals 41-38. It took a 51-yard scamper from Derrick Henry to knot things after a fumble by Lamar Jackson and a missed field goal by Evan McPherson. But of course, it was like for 53 yards and it was a botched hold. The Jaguars, last-second field goal efforts there. They defeated the Colts 37-34. The Rams took it on the chin at home to the Packers 24-19. And a boring 3 quarters after a lightning delay for 90 minutes turned into an exciting 4th quarter as the Cowboys, with about 20 seconds left to go in the game, pulled victory for the jaws of defeat, go into Pittsburgh and upset Yinzers. They beat the Steelers 20-17, and the Texans, with a 59-yard field goal by Keami Fairbairn, beat the Bills 23-20. Good games actually this week. Turning attention to weather across the country, that's brought to you by the Weather Channel. Over in the Pacific Northwest, it will be sunny and 75 in Seattle. It'll be mostly sunny and 70 in Minneapolis. It'll be mostly sunny and 69, maybe with a little bit of some thunderstorm action in Chicago. Sunny and 73 in St. Louis. Partly cloudy and 66 in Detroit. Over on the East Coast, it will be rainy and 63 in Boston. Partly cloudy and 75 in New York. Mostly sunny and 74 in Washington. Down in the South, it will be thunderstorms and 81 in Miami, of course, as Tampa, and Jacksonville all brace for Hurricane Milton. Sunny and 83 in Atlanta, sunny and 77 in Memphis, sunny and 90 in New Orleans. Down the Southwest, it's sunny and 94 in San Antonio, sunny and 92 in Dallas, sunny and 93 in Houston. Over in the Rockies, it's sunny and 82 in Denver. Hot spot again in the country is in the desert, sunny and 108 in Phoenix. It'll be mostly sunny with a high of 101 in Las Vegas. And on the West Coast, it will be partly cloudy skies and 90 degrees in Hollywood. It will be partly cloudy skies in the Bay Area with a high of 81. As you look on weather for today, and now you have been properly started up. Coming up later, do we have to deal with issues of mail-in ballots again? We'll touch on that in our cover story. And how important is voting to a Christian? It's very important, actually. We'll discuss why. But coming up next, Donald Trump revisits Butler, Pennsylvania, and actually does a campaign rally there again. We'll touch on the feelings of it all and the, I guess, ramifications of it and the race to come, which is 4 weeks away from ending. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network, and we'll be right back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson. Peyton was considered a winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald. With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete, 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 delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels. BS3, Wilkes, A-Trap B, and King Doc. Join those four outstanding brothers as they take documentaries, TV series, and movies, and they break it down their own way. Siskel and Ebert, watch out. Move out the way. New York Times reviews, you have nothing on these four. The Forecast, they come to you live every Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on the Roku TV via BS3, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, the BS3 Network Facebook page, and the _Forecast YouTube channel. That is BS3. That's David Wilkes. That is Brian Williams. That is Ivan Dawkins. The Forecast, live tonight and every Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on the Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Network Facebook page, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, and the _Forecast YouTube channel. Welcome back to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. Shifter, it is great to see you. And if you want to be heard more than just seen, just go to the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. That is the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. And while you're there, hit that subscribe and notification bell so you can catch it all every time this show goes live. And we believe that you are the lifeblood of this show. Believe me, we do trust what you say, and we love to hear what you have to offer, because this is a two-way street, not a one-way communication street. But let's go to other matters, shall we? So here we are. It is 29 days from the next time we elect the president of these United States. November 5th is the date of Election Day. But 2 days ago, we had one of the participants revisit the site of his assassination attempt. And in today's cover story, we'll touch on why he went back, what was unearthed, and how things have been almost 3 months since that attack happened in the first place. It started as a memorial, and it ended as a standard run of the mill MAGA rally speech. After the shocking assassination attempt, which brought the specter of political violence to an already tense White House campaign, 2024 Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump returned literally to the scene of the crime this past weekend to deliver a defiant speech declaring, quote, "I will never yield, not even in the face of death itself," close quote. His remarks represented yet another traumatic moment in a toss-up race which has American voters on edge. Now, the former president's return to Butler, Pennsylvania, which is about 3 months after he was shot there, punctuates a remarkable stretch in the nation's political life, one which has witnessed the Democrats swap the top of the ticket since this happened, I should say. It witnessed a swap at the top of the ticket candidate and the Secret Service foil of a second alleged attempt, and the resignation of the director of the Secret Service because of it. The former Republican president now is also speaking behind bulletproof glass in a campaign which has been one of the most extraordinary in modern times. Unstable, violent, and high stakes. The Butler shooting hasn't appeared to significantly change the trajectory of the race. We witnessed the president step out of the race roughly 2 weeks after this all happened, and Vice President Kamala Harris assuming the front of the ticket seat. And the polling has been much stronger for her than it was for the sitting president. Unfortunately, alas, it has become central to Trump's campaign and claims that he is a persecuted figure. Now, before Saturday, Trump had appeared in public at least 51 times since that shooting and referenced it in 31 of those appearances. That's according to analysis done by USA Today. Now, Trump and his allies have been tying the assassination attempt to other travails, like his legal cases and impeachments, for example. He said on Saturday, quote, "Those who want to stop us have slandered me, impeached me, indicted me, tried to throw me off the ballot, and who knows, maybe tried to kill me," close quote. Now, Trump and Butler didn't mention anybody by name or didn't mention the shooter by name, and the FBI still hasn't found a motive for him. Now, that didn't stop Trump's allies from claiming again, without evidence, that the Democratic rhetoric contributed to the shooting. Trump initially struck a much more compassionate and empathetic tone Saturday than his typically combative rallies, spending considerable time honoring the victims of July 13th. Mm-hmm. Rally goer Corey Compatore was killed that day, and 2 other attendees were injured. Now, Trump praised, quote, "our beautiful Corey," close quote, and met with his family before the event. He also lauded U.S. Secret Service agents and Butler public safety personnel, but eventually veered into full-throated negative politics, noting that election was then exactly 1 month away. Trump attacked migrants and pledged mass deportations, hammered the Biden administration's hurricane response, lauded running mate J.D. Vance's debate performance that happened earlier in the week, protested the many investigators of his conduct, bragged about what he said are good poll numbers, and criticized what he called a, quote, "very corrupt political establishment," close quote. He went on to say, quote, "I will never quit. I will never bend. I will never break. I will never yield, even in the face of death itself," close quote. At one point, Trump said even, quote, "we have an enemy within," close quote, but didn't specifically identify it. He also told supporters that, quote, "we have an evil world We have a sick world, close quote. And that's true, we do. Now, the former president didn't mention Harris or Biden in the early part of his speech, but eventually got around to familiar rally style riffs against Kamala, or Kamala, as either he or others have said. That's the wrestler, not the vice president, but I digress, and other Democrats. He told other supporters that, quote, 12 weeks ago, we took a bullet for America, close quote, and that a victory by him in the election would be, quote, the greatest achievement in the history of politics, close quote. The rally also featured special guest billionaire businessman, I should add, Elon Musk, who attacked Biden over his age and said Trump's reaction to the shootout showed, quote, courage under fire, close quote. Musk also predicted dire consequences if Trump supporters don't register and vote. Elon, Trump is 78. You could poke fun at the 81-year-old Biden, but Trump is only 3.5 years younger. I digress. Musk said, quote, if they don't, this will be the last election. That's my prediction, close quote. No, I'm not. Trump's speech capped a full-day program that was part of a memorial and part political rally. It featured Republican candidates, musicians, parachutists, and a flyover by Trump's airplane. J.D. Vance said, what an amazing crowd. We're here to say that we can't be intimidated, we cannot be stopped, we won't be denied, close quote. Now, while paying tribute to Trump and the other shooting victims, Vance also attacked Harris and other Trump opponents for using, quote, dangerous inflammatory rhetoric, close quote, that has created an atmosphere for violence. Quote, it was only a matter of time before somebody tried to kill him, close quote. Vance attacked Harris for describing the Republican candidate as a threat to democracy, then added, quote, Donald Trump took a bullet for democracy. What have you done? Close quote. Vance did not mention Trump's own use of violence rhetoric, though, throughout his political career, but he has, calling him Hitler 8 years ago. Again, I digress. The Trump campaign also sought to turn the Butler event to a fundraising opportunity. Now, during the day, the campaign sent out fundraising solicitations with an all-caps quote from Trump saying, I'm back in Butler to address the nation. If every patriot chips in $5, we'll set a rally record. Close quote. Now, while Vance hit the Democrats for incendiary rhetoric, some of the Republican speakers in Butler supplied intemperate rhetoric of their own about the tense close election. Laura Trump, the ex-president's daughter-in-law, and co-chair of the Republican National Committee, she had this to say, quote, this is no longer a fight between Republican versus Democrat, left versus right. It is good versus evil, and good is going to win this battle. Close quote. Well, quite frankly, if good's going to win this battle, that means it will be like Bruce's Million, and none of the above will be the answer. But since that won't happen, one of these two had to be elected. We'll see what America decides 4 weeks and 1 day from now. And that concludes today's program Spotlight. Coming up next, ballots. Can it be invalidated if there are delays? Like we couldn't get away from this issue, but it's going to rear its ugly head yet again. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network, and we'll return right after this. There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. 4 men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised. with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Doc, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, W-I-Z-E.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. That's right. Join the James Lipton of the crew, Wiser Lefe. He is a master interviewer. So you'll take him, you'll take an interviewee of his choosing. The two of them will unearth a conversation in interview format, and it's an absolute nugget full of wisdom that will be dropped in whatever episode you decide to watch of this Stuck in My Mind podcast. It comes to you live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. That is Stuck in My Mind podcast. That is live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. Well, welcome back to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift for Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. And, well, let's go to Shift Nation, shall we? And speaking of the James Lipton the crew, speaking of the Real Wise CEO, Real Wise Radio CEO, Stuck in My Mind podcast zone, Wiser Levy. He says, good morning, shifters, and good morning to you. He has some choice words to say about Elon Musk, saying that he could eat a pickle. I mean, hey. He went on to say also, I didn't know rape was a good thing. And for those who think it is, it's not. That's humor, obviously. That's sarcasm for sure. But no. We here at the Morning Shift, and I'm sure BS3 as well, and definitely Kobe Media Incorporated, and definitely Real Wise do not condone rape at all. But some will probably paint that picture thusly. Who knows? But what I do know is we are getting down to early voting and mail-in voting time. Yeah, it is that time. There's many voting places now that have opened up early, and now you can you can cast your votes now. You can actually even mail in your votes now. But election officials are warning, we might run into some danger with invalidating votes because of delays. In our cover story, we'll touch on how a delay could even possibly exist even after what happened in 2020, when this became a central focus of many in the political sphere. Election officials and lawmakers are worried that the U.S. Postal Service delays could prevent thousands of ballots from being counted this year in what could be an extremely close presidential contest. State election officials raised alarms in a letter last month to the Postmaster General about, quote, exceptionally long delivery times, close quote, ballots being held for billing issues, and voter mail being returned as undeliverable. Delivery delays ticked off members of Congress who said the consolidation of processing centers led to steep drop-offs in on-time deliveries of first-class mail in Atlanta, in Richmond, Virginia, and in Green Bay. Notice those are three of the battleground states that's in play: Georgia, Virginia, Wisconsin. Said Congressman David Joyce of Ohio, quote, voters should never have to worry about if their ballot will be postmarked on time or if their ballot will reach their election center in time to be counted, close quote. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy told lawmakers at a House hearing September 26th that nearly all ballots, more than 99% of them, get delivered within 7 days, a couple days slower than the agency's goal of 3 to 5 for first class delivery mail. Staffers perform, quote, extraordinary measures, close quote, such as plucky ballots out of the stream of mail to give them special treatment to get delivered on time, he said. DeJoy went on to say, quote, we engage in heroic efforts to beat the clock, close quote. Election officials, lawmakers, and postal officials are urging voters to mail ballots at least 7 days prior to Election Day to ensure they are delivered with enough time to be counted, despite more than a dozen states having rules which ballots can be mailed as late as Election Day and still be valid. Stop lying. Here's what we know. The spotlight is on mail ballots because of the huge surge in absentee voting last major election campaign, which was 2020. And of course, this was during the coronavirus pandemic when many people really could not get out to the ballot boxes to vote. The number of mail ballots more than doubled from 2016 to 2020, jumping from 28.8 million to 66.4, according to a Massachusetts Institute of Technology report, or MIT. More than 43% of voters mailed in their ballots in 2020, up from 24.5% in 2016, according to the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon, the president of the National Association of Secretaries of State, had this to say, quote, they want to vote from their couch. They want to vote from their kitchen table. It's convenient for them and their families and their lives, close quote. About 60% of Democrats reported voting by mail in 2020, as opposed to 32% of Republicans. That is according to many surveys. Now, the former president, Donald Trump, has long criticized mail-in voting while occasionally encouraging his supporters to use it. He called the Postal Service, quote, a poorly run mess, close quote, in a September 15 post on Truth Social, and questioned how it could be trusted with this year's election. Now, nationwide, in a recent 3-month period, the Postal Service delivered almost 86% of their first-class mail within 2 days, despite a reaching goal of 93% that fast, according to the agency's Inspector General. If voters relied on the ballot getting to election office that fast, millions of ballots might arrive too late to count. Hans von Spakovsky, an election law expert at the Conservative Heritage Foundation, said, quote, that's an enormous amount of voters, close quote. State election officials complained about, quote, exceptionally long delivery lines, close quote, after multiple states reported each receiving between dozens and hundreds of ballots during the primaries, which were 10 or more days after their postmarks. Now, the Kansas Secretary of State, Scott Schwab, said nearly 1,000 mail ballots, which is about 2%, of the statewide total for the August 6th primary couldn't be counted because they arrived after the state's 3-day grace period without a postmark. Most ballots continue to trickle in. Now, the lack of postmarks contradicted the state's agency's website, which said the agency's policy is to, quote, postmark all ballots. That's why we're sounding alarm now, close quote. Lawmakers complained that on-time deliveries in Green Bay and Richmond plummeted 20 percentage points this year under experimental programs, which landed them the second and fourth worst areas in the country for on-time delivery. Now, DeJoy said about Florida, quote, we're going to deliver Georgia's ballots just fine, close quote. But he compared the experimental programs to move mail more efficiently with the NASA's rocket testing, saying, quote, the first rockets that went to the moon blew up. Close quote. Said Mark Pocan, a congressman from Wisconsin, quote, "Thanks for blowing up Wisconsin," close quote. Election and postal officials suggested mailing ballots at least a week ahead of time and contacting local offices to confirm they arrived. Schwab said, quote, "When it's getting close to Halloween, call that election center office and make sure that they received your ballot." Close quote. This is still going to be a mess, and I can already sense it, feel it, and taste it. Well, I will say, if you're going to do a mail-in, yeah, definitely do it at least a week. I would even say 2 weeks before Election Day. Election Day is November 5th. I would say by the time we get to Columbus Day, you should probably mail in your ballot, just to be literally on the safe side. And that concludes today's cover story. Oh, boy. Now, in lieu of lighting the way, we do have one thing to say before we do wrap things up. Just give you this little scripture to pass this along with you. Voting is important, and we'll touch on it tomorrow in more detail in lighting the way. Voting is important, but you got to understand your role, and I think that's what Paul, when he wrote to the Romans in chapter 13, verse 1, that's what he wanted to actually put forth out there and saying, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God." So remember, you pray about leaders every day, no matter what you think about them. You pray every day about the leaders, making sure that they have your best interests at heart, whether it is federal, state, local, county, whatever. You pray for them to have your back. Again, whether they're Republican or Democrat, you pray for them. You've done it before, you're doing it now, and you will always do it because that's just how we are. And we have to make sure that we pick and choose wisely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much for joining me on this excursion of the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. For all of us here at the BS3 Network, Comey Media Incorporated, and the Morning Shift, I'm Cole Johnson here, saying parting as I always do. If you lack commitment, you'll never start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And if you lack love, I guarantee you, my shifter, you most certainly will never, ever, ever conquer. Have a great rest of your morning, great rest of your day. Go out there and preach the gospel to the ends of the earth, because that is what you do, because you are a blessing. And how do I know that? Because you have blessed me today. And I hope I, in turn, have blessed you. I love you, and there's not a thing you can do about it. God bless you, shifter. So long.